Hello and thank you for joining me. I'm Heather Forgan of stampwithnellie.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based in the UK. Today's project is this adorable little milk carton style box, just made with designer series paper. Now, I would normally do boxes with card, and gift bags would normally be with the paper, but I'm ringing the changes today with this cute little package. Now I'm going to make one little change. I'm going to do a double knot on that piece at the top there so that it stays in place. So I have used the new in colours, and we've obviously got this Secret Sea. Then we have cloud cover, and I'm just showing you the two different designs that you get in each of the colours in the pack. So this is a 6x6 pack, although I've cut that piece down because I've used it for something else. I'm going to be using this one for my next one. And then we have Strawberry Slush, Timid Tiger, and Darling Duckling. So those are our 2025 to 2027 in colours. As I say, I'm going to use this design here. Does have, well, it definitely does have a direction to it. These two little packs of Love Heart Sweeties will fit in there, even although it doesn't look like they do. My stamp is from a new set in the annual catalogue called Encircled With Love, and I've used this one here. There is a 1 7/8 inch punch to go with that, but 1 3/4 will do at a push, and that is what I used for that one. It would cut off a little bit of that one and possibly those, but some of them 1 3/4 will be fine, but it'd be nice to layer up with a 1 7/8 if I had it. Okay, so this piece of designer series paper needs to turn down a little bit. I want it to be 5.5 inches by 5.5. Okay, so just using my trimmer, 5.5 by 5.5. Okay. Make sure I've got that straight. That's put me off. 5.5. There we go. All right, so I'm going to do some scoring. And if you've got a directional pattern, make sure you've got it in the direction you want when you do your first lot of scoring. I'm going to score that at 1 1/4 inches. Just a light score because it is just paper. Then 2.5, 3 3/4, and then at 5 inches. Okay. Then I'm going to turn this around, and again I'm thinking about my direction, so I want this to be the bottom. So I'm going to twizzle it around that way and do 1 1/4. Then I want to do that at 4 inches and at 5 inches. Okay, now I'm coming back to the first orientation, and I want to score that at 1 7/8, but just down to that line there. So I've got a 1/2 inch. I can line this little mark on there at 1/2 inch, or in line with that score line, and just do that. It's just an indication. It doesn't matter if you go a bit too far down. So that was 1 7/8, and the other one is 4 3/8. And that's just marking halfway in a couple of those panels. Okay. Then I'm going to take my ruler, and I'm using my stylus from simply scored, but any kind of ball tool would do. And I'm just going to connect up the intersection of that score line and that score line. So that's the first one and then the second one, and the bottom of that mark that I made in the middle of that panel. And again, it doesn't have to be absolutely accurate. Your paper will go with the flow. So again, bend that and then you'll see a bit better. So I've got that little score line there. I'm going to score from there to there and then there to there. And so I did that on those two panels with those extra little score lines. If you don't have something like that, you can use your bone folder if you have one. The Take Your Pick tool has something similar on it as well. I'm just going to gently burnish all of these lines just with my fingers instead of my bone folder, just simply because it is paper. I don't want it to crack if I'm too heavy-handed. So again, just making sure that top and bottom are aligned and then pressing that down with my fingers. Lined up top and bottom, press it down. Done that one, just that one. So they are all done. And with those ones there, you don't need to burnish those as such. Your paper will go with the flow. But if you want to, you can just fold that over like that. So you've got that shape there. Okay, and quickly just kind of give that one a little shove in the right direction. Okay, we need to do a little bit of cutting. Where are my snips? There we are. So we've got all of our extra scoring and extra panel up there. This is the base here, and I'm just going to cut along each of those score lines just up to that first horizontal score line. And on this one, I'm going to take this panel out, so I'm going to take an extra little wedge out from the side there, and same little wedge there. So that's a bit of waste, not much. And then take a little snip off the top there, like that, okay? Just those out of the way. Now, this is going to join to the back. So we now know that this is our front panel, this is our back panel, and these are our two sides. So we've already taken a little nip out of that side. We'll just do the same on that one. Leave that one and just take wedges off either side of this one. Because it's paper, that's not quite so important as if you were doing it with card, because you've not got the same bulk with the paper. But I'm just in the habit of doing that now, so it doesn't matter what I'm using, I just do it. Right, fold this over. I'm going to put some liquid glue along there. You could use tearing tape, you could use Stampin' Seal, whichever is your preference. And then I'm going to fold that over, and that line should be nice and neatly in line with that folded edge. I've clearly not scored that particularly straight. There is a little overhang there. I'm just going to use my snips and tidy that up. Much easier to do at that stage than once you have actually filled it. And right, so that's our back panel. That is going to go front first. I'm actually going to take just a tiny little bit off there. Again, just so that that sits nicely. That one's going to go over there. Take a tiny little bit off. Tiny little bit off there. Like so. Then I'm just going to add glue to that. I could have added glue to those other bits, but again, it's paper, it doesn't really need it. And then just give that a moment. And I have a tiny little overhang there. I'm just going to tidy that up as well. Okay, so as I mentioned, you've got that creased bit there, and the paper just goes with the flow. Alright, so let me remind myself, yes, this is my front. I'm just going to stick that ruler in there. It doesn't actually look out of one folder, just to give that a press and give that a chance to glue down. Okay, then I'll pop my little goodies inside. Kind of put them so that they're on the diagonal and they will fit. Okay, then I need to do my decoration. I did have a piece of basic white. Yep. And on that one, first one, I used cloud cover ribbon. This one I'm going to use Secret C, so we've got the same combination, just the other way around. I would probably, if all things were normal, I would probably have stamped that in cloud cover and coloured in the ribbon with Secret C, but there is an issue with cloud cover ink pad, so although I have it, I'm not going to use it. I'm going to stick with the same combination on that. We're still using the same two colours anyway, so it's fine. Okay, so my Secret C, little something for you. I'm just going to pop that on there. Isn't it pretty? And then let's close this up. I've got my 1 3/4 inch bunch. Slide that in there. Get it kind of centraled. And then pop. There we go. Sticking with cloud cover. Just going to add a little bit of that with my Stampin' Blends, or you could use Stampin' Right markers. You can get that in cloud cover as well. So even if you don't have an ink pad, you're not stuck for options. You can also get the ink refill bottle and use that with some of one of our stamping spots. That would work. As the issue with the actual ink pad is about a chemical reaction with the foam in the ink pad itself. So if you were to use the stamping spots, those are actually linen pads. So that chemical reaction issue is negated. Right, so I've got that. Where's my ribbon scissors? There. I'm just going to chop that just now, and then I'll probably bring it further down. I am using some of this silver trim that comes in a dual pack with gold, but I've got plenty of the silver left for some reason, and I ran out of gold, so I have bought another pack. And as I say, I'm going to give that a double knot this time so that it doesn't just untie like the other one did. But I cut it too short after I realised it untied itself. Or rather, I cut it too short before I realised that it untied itself. Right, so let's chop that and that. The ribbons out of the way, and then we've just got this to put on. So if I can now just bring that down, and I'm going to chop that as well. There we go. I added this with dimensionals and I've still got them here. I used the side strip, so just a little bit from the side, and then I can put that one side of the ribbon and the other bit the other side of the ribbon, and then if someone wants, they can take the ribbon off later and perhaps use it on another project. All about the reusing. So there we have it. Secret Sea and cloud cover combinations using the Designer Series paper pack and the Encircled With Love stamp set. I hope you have enjoyed this tutorial. If you have, please give me a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, please click on that subscribe button. Click the bell and get notification the next time I upload a tutorial. Until then, please do take care. Bye bye.